you doing there? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Today we're studying Daf Chof Ches, Daf 28 of Masechta Kiddushin. Friends, Daf 28 is I don't know what to tell you about Daf 28. It's got some stuff on it. It's got some stuff on it. We're gonna start on that. So we're gonna wrap up Gilgul Shvuah. I feel like Daf 28 goes pretty quickly. I think. I don't know. Kinin Khalifin, Hektish, all kind of technical stuff, but I think it kind of moves. So let's do it. We're starting Daf Chof Ches Amud Aleph. I don't know, about 6-7 lines into the page. Ad Heichon Gilgul Shvuah. Got it? Good. So what are, I don't know, what does Rashi say? Ad Heichon Gilgul Shvuah. Wait, where even do Rashi go? I don't know, I guess essentially what are some additional examples, but I don't know, what are I guess more exceptional examples where we would say Gilgul Shvuah. That if Shimon says to Ruvain, hey Ruvain, swear to me that you are not my Eved Knaini. So that would be a Gilgul Shvuah. If he has to swear for something else, then he could swear also then that he's not his Eved Kanani. But what do you mean? Why would that be a Gilgul Shvuah? We would put Shimon into excommunication for making such an allegation to Ruvain that he's his Eved Kanani. The Tanis, we learn in the Brisa, Eved. If a fellow calls his friend an Eved Kanani, Yehi Benidoy, so that fellow gets excommunicated. If Shimon calls Ruvain an Eved Kanani, so Shimon gets excommunicated. Bad news. Mamzer Sefik Sarboim. If Shimon calls Reuven a mamzer, so we lash out at Shimon. We whack him 40 times. Makas Mardus. Rasha Yoredim L'chayev. If Shimon calls Reuven a nudnik, a Rasha, an evildoer, a no goodnik, so Reuven has permission to really get at Shimon for calling him a Rasha. He can even affect his parnasa and affect him in negative ways. So why would we say that if Shimon says to Reuven, hey, swear to me that you're not my Eved Knaini, so why would that be a case of a Gilgul Shvuah? I mean, we would put Shimon in excommunication. Elo Omar Rava, rather says Ravi Yishavali Shalonim Karto Li Be'Eved Ivri. So rather, no, what Shimon says to Reuven is, swear to me that you were not sold to me as an Eved Ivri. But why would that be a Gilgul Shvuah? That would just be a valid claim that Reuven would potentially have to swear about. Mamona is legabe, right? Shimon's making a claim that Reuven is his Eved Ivri. So I mean, so that is something that Reuven would potentially have to swear about. So why are we just saying it's a Gilgul Shvuah kind of situation? It could potentially be a regular Shvuah. So Rava l'tame d'Amar Rava Eved Ivri Gufo Konui. Yes, but Rava says, as we learned the other day, that an Eved Ivri is actually Konui. So therefore it's kind of like an Eved Ivri would have the status of Karka. Yochi anu Karka, but if that's the case, then that's basically just Karka, and the Mishnah had already said that when it comes to Karka, it applies to Gilgul Shvuah. Well, look, when it comes to property, you could say, look, people, when they sell property, there might not be, such a loud voice about it, right? Like the Yentis might not know about it in the bungalow colony, not as many people might know about it, so therefore, it could be something that he'd have to swear about. But in Isa Dezovin, Leis Leikala. So even if Shimon really sold it to Reuven, there might not be, everybody might not know about it, and therefore, we can make a Gilgul Shvuah about it. But when it comes to an Eved Ivri, in Isa Dezovin, if it's true that Reuven was sold to him as an Eved Ivri, Kala Islay, I would say that people would know about it, and therefore, if it's true, people would know about it. So maybe it would not be something that you can, would include in the Gilgul Shvuah, because if it was true, then people would know about it. So we don't need to swear about it. I guess the assumption is that it's not true. Kamashman, we're saying, no, even so, if Shimon says to Reuven, swear to me that you're not my Eved Ivri, so that is something that people would Gilgul Shvuahitize. Okay? Says the Mishnah, Kol hanaisa damim be'acher. Okay, so this Mishnah is a shtickle technical. I think it's gonna. You see, that's a funny thing. I think I had mentioned at the beginning of the daf. It's like a funny kind of daf in some ways. Like, I don't know. This should be like complicated, and maybe it's. I don't know. I think it moves quickly though, so it just feels like it should be complicated, but I think it moves relatively quickly. Okay, so it says the Mishnah. Well, I guess it's already just starts off like, what the heck is it talking about? It's unclear what the Mishnah is actually talking about, which I guess the Gemara is going to talk about how it's unclear what the Mishnah is talking about and trying to figure out what it's talking about. But again, it's not like super hard. It's just, you see, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, it's unclear and the Gemara is going to like be trying to figure out like what's it talking about, but it's not that hard. But it is technical. What do you want me to tell you? Kinyan Khalif and Mavos? I don't know. So something that can be used as value for something else. The assumption is that for now that it's talking about money. So okay, once this guy gets it, then he's chayiv b'chalifav. What does that mean? So it means that so what it means is that the assumption for now is that if Shimon has if Shimon has a cow, let's say an ox. Shimon has an ox, and they're going to make a kinyan chalifin. How does a kinyan chalifin work in general? So Ruvain would go to Shimon, give Shimon his pen. Shimon picks up the pen. By picking up Ruvain's pen, right? He's picking up Ruvain's pen. Now Ruvain gets Shimon's ox, right? That's the kinyan chalifin. They're switching. So now what we want to say, what the Mishnah says, is that could even be with money, right? That if Ruvain gives a coin to Shimon, and Shimon picks up the coin, so now Shimon's ox belongs to Ruvain, and if anything happens to the ox, it's already in Ruvain's possession, and Ruvain's responsible for it. So again, assuming that that's what it means, so kol hanaisa dam be'acher, so money, once Shimon picks up the coin, then his ox now belongs to Ruvain, nischayev zeh b'chalifav, and now Ruvain, if anything happens to the ox, it happens in Ruvain's possession. Ketzad. Now, funnily, the Gemara says, what's an example? The Mishnah says, what's an example of this? And gives an example that doesn't involve money, which the Gemara is going to ask, like, okay, so what's going on? But Ketzad hichliv shor b'pareh. So if Shimon has an ox and Reuven has a cow, and what they're going to do is they're going to swap. Okay? Shimon's going to get Reuven's cow, Reuven's going to get Shimon's ox. So, or it could be with an ox and a donkey. So once Reuven gets the ox, memele, the cow belongs to Shimon. So meaning, Shimon has an ox, Reuven has a cow, and they're going to swap. They're going to do a kinyan chalifin. So the way this is going to work is that Reuven goes to Shimon's house, and he does a kinyan meshicha on Shimon's ox. He pulls the Shimon's ox, and by pulling Shimon's ox, he now owns Shimon's ox, and by doing so, Reuven's cow now belongs to Shimon. It's a chalifin, a switcheroo. So once Reuven does a kinyan meshicha on Shimon's ox, memele, Reuven's ox now belongs to Shimon. Okay, fine. So in the Reisha, when we say kol hanaisa dam ba'acher, what's this talking about? So I was saying it means money, but what does it mean? So matpeah. So the Gemara says, yeah, it means money. That if Reuven gives a coin to Shimon, when Shimon picks it up, Shimon's ox belongs to Reuven in the Reisha. So shmamino matpeah hanaisa chalifin. Well, if that's the case, then our Mishnah seems to be saying that you can use a coin for kinyan chalifin. Now that's a shaila. Can you use a coin for kinyan chalifin? So we want to say, well, it sounds like from our Mishnah you can. That Reuven, right, if Shimon has an ox, and Reuven wants to purchase that ox, Reuven wants Shimon's ox. So sounds like our Mishnah is saying that Reuven can take a coin, give it to Shimon, Shimon picks up the coin, and now Shimon's ox belongs to Reuven. So Amar Rav Yehuda Hachikam. Rav Yehuda says, no, actually it is not talking about a coin. Rather what it's saying is, Kol anishom damim be'acher. Anything that can be evaluated as money, meaning metaltalin be'etzim, a pen, anything, metaltalin. Once Shimon picks up the pen, Nischayv b'chalifin, then his ox now belongs to Ruvain, and that's that. If anything happens to it, it happens on Ruvain's account. Fine. So, okay, so it's not talking about money, it's talking about an object, it's talking about metaltalin. Nami dekatoni, we can also infer that this is what it's talking about. It's talking about metaltalin. Dekatoni ketzad, what is an example of this chalifin that we're talking about? Well, hichlif shor b'par, o chomer b'shor. If you swap a ox with a cow, or a donkey with an ox, so shmamina. There you go. Meaning it's talking about metaltalin, right? An ox, a donkey, a cow, those are all metaltalin. They're movable objects. So that is what we are talking about. And that's what the Mishnah is saying. That if Reuven gives Shimon his pen, and Shimon picks it up, so then now Shimon's cow belongs to Reuven. And we say, what's in, fine. We say, and what's an example of chalifin? And we give examples that involve metaltalin. Okay, fine. So ulamai desalak adaitin, and that which it entered our mind, meikara initially, the matbea naisi chalifin, that a coin could be used for chalifin. My ketzad, then what's the example that the Mishnah gives, right? Meaning, if we want to say that the ratio is talking about a coin, so the Mishnah is saying that you can use a coin for chalifin, then ketzad, and then how is this? It gives an example. The examples don't use money though; they use animals. So how do you understand that? So hachi kamar. So this is how you understand the Mishnah. Peris nami avdei chalifin. Additionally, in addition to money being used as chalifin, Paris. Now, Paris can refer to fruits, but it's be'etzim any metaltalin that is not a kli, that is not a vessel, right? So fruits, pen would be a kli. But I don't know, fruit, animals. Although I think we said that maybe an animal could potentially be considered a kli in a sense. But okay, but I guess here we're saying that the animal is being used as Paris. So it's okay. Paris nami avdei chalifin. So Paris can also be used as chalifin, not just kalim. Ketzad, how is that? Hechlev bisar shor bipar. If you swap the meat, right? So meat would be an example of what we're calling Paris, right? If you swap the meat of an ox for a cow, or bisar chomer, or the meat of a donkey bishor for a ox. So once Shimon, gets that meat, so now the ox or whatever, the cow, belongs to Reuven. Okay, so we could say that it's talking about the ratio is talking about a coin, but additionally you could also use Paris, and then we give examples of Paris. For example, if you use the meat of an ox, okay, said. So that makes sense. If you're Rav Sheshes, according to Rav Sheshes, who says that Paris can actually be used for chalifin. But according to Rav Nachman, who says that Paris cannot be used for chalifin, well then how does he explain the Mishnah? So hachi ka'amar, this is how you understand the Mishnah. Yesh domim shehein ka chalifin. There is money that can be used like chalifin. Ketzad, how? Hechliv demei shor bepare o demei chamor beshor. What does that mean? If he swapped the value of a ox for a cow or the value of a donkey for an ox, who can tell me what that means? It means that if Shimon has an ox, and Reuven wants to buy Shimon's ox. So now Shimon's ox costs $100. Now Reuven goes to Shimon's house and he does a kinyan meshicha on the ox. Right? He pulls it and he makes a kinyan meshicha. And when he does that, Reuven now is obligated to pay Shimon $100. He now needs to pay $100 to Shimon. Now, okay, so Reuven went to Shimon's house, he did a kinyan meshicha on the ox. By doing so, he now owes Shimon $100. He has to pay him. Now, Shimon says to Reuven, you know what? Reuven, you have a cow, right? He says, yeah, I have a cow. Shimon says, you know what? Keep that money. Keep the $100. And when you keep the 100, and by doing so, your cow will belong to me and I'll have your cow. So he's basically swapping the $100 for Reuven's cow. Right, so again, you can have money that basically works like a swap, like a chalifin. Right? If Reuven was buying Shimon's ox, he did a kinyan mashiach on the ox, which now meant that he was chayiv to pay Shimon $100. So Shimon has this money that he's owed, and hechlif demei shor, the money that he was owed for his ox, he swapped bipara for Reuven's cow. And that's how you can have money being used like a chalifin. Idam o demei chamer b'shor, or if or the value of a, if Shimon had a donkey and Reuven had a shor. My time. How come this can work? Because Savila Reb Yochanan, because Rav Nachman holds like Reb Yochanan, the Amr Dvar Torah Mos Konis. Like we learned the other day that according to Reb Yochanan, that Mida Oraise, money can be used to purchase metaltlin. Right? We had learned in the Mishnah that money cannot be used for metaltlin, only a kinyan meshicha. But Reb Yochanan says that actually Mida Oraise, money can be used for metaltlin. Umatam Amr Meshicha Kona. So how come the Chacham said, don't use money to make a kinyan by metaltlin, rather do a kinyan meshicha? Because out of concern for nisifu chitecha b'aliyah, right? For example, if I buy epis, nisifu chitecha b'aliyah, wheat, right? So if I buy a whole bunch of wheat from you, so Rabbi Yochanan says, look, technically speaking, how much does it cost? $1,000. I pay you $1,000. Now it's mine, even though the wheat is still in your granary, but I paid for it. It's mine. But the concern is that if by paying Reuven, it's now if Reuven pays Shimon for his wheat, it now belongs to Reuven. Well, what if there's a fire in the granary? Shimon has no incentive to save that wheat. I mean, he already sold it. It already belongs to Reuven. It's Reuven's wheat. It's not his problem. So out of concern for a situation like that, where, Shimon's going to say, look, what can I tell you? Your wheat got burnt, got destroyed. What can I do? So in order to save a situation like that, to prevent a situation like that, we say, no, by metaltlin, money does not make the kinyan. Reuven has to go and take it from Shimon. So, and Milsa de Shchiach Gazu Barabonon, and when the rabbis said that money does not make a kinyan by metaltlin, that's by sort of more popular ways of buying stuff. For example, if Shimon is selling wheat and Reuven's going to pay with money, that money won't actually make the kinyan. He would have to go and actually take the wheat. But in a situation like this, where it's like being used as chalifin, where Reuven bought Shimon's ox, and now Shimon is saying, look, you owe me $100, but keep the money, and that would be a chalifin for your cow. That in that case, the rabbis did not make their gezerah against using money for a kinyan in that case, because it's not as common of a situation. In uncommon situation, the rabbis did not make a gezerah. But now, according to Rish Lakish, who says that no, Davka Meshicha is Midaraisa, not Kinyan Kesef. So if that's the case, well then, Hanicha Yisavila Rav Sheshes. So I understand according to Rav Sheshes, right? I understand if Rish Lakish would hold like Rav Sheshes does, that Damar Paris Avde Chalifin, that Paris can be used for Chalifin. So then how do we understand our Mishnah? Well, Mitaritz Rav Sheshes, Rish Lakish would answer like Rav Sheshes, that it's talking about Paris can be used for Chalifin, and how is it? Well, if you have the meat of the ox, etc. Ella Yisavila Rav Nachman, but if he holds like Rav Nachman, Damar Paris Lo Avde Chalifin, that Paris cannot be used for Chalifin, Umatbe'er lo kani, and also coins do not make a kinyan by chalifin, do not make a kinyan by metaltlin. So b'may mukila. So then how can you explain our Mishnah, right? If we said initially right? Initially, we were saying that our Mishnah is talking about money. So then, how do you understand the example that is talking about cows and oxen? So, we had Rav Shesh's way of saying, well, we're giving examples by Paris being used for Chalifin, or if you're Rav Nachman who says that Paris cannot be used for Chalifin, but then you could be talking about this situation where like money is being used for Chalifin. But if Rish Lakish does not hold like Rav Yochanan that money can be used for metaltlin, and he also doesn't hold like Rav Sheshes that Paris can be used for Chalifin, well then how do you understand our Mishnah? So Mukila Akorchech, one second, so Mukila Akorchech, what? La'avdi Chalifin, Mapeh Lo Kani, but my Mukilas. And how do you understand the Mishnah? Akorchech Rav Sheshes Svirle must be then that Rish Lakish holds like Rav Sheshes that you can use Paris for Chalifin. Okay, and now we get to another Mishnah. Rishus Agavoa Bekesef. Okay, the domain of Hekdesh is with money. We're going to have to see what this means in the Gemara. Also a little bit of a technical topic, but not super complicated. Rishus Hedjit Bechazaka. Hedjit people are calling stuff with Chazaka. Amirasul Gavoa Kim Sirasul Hedjit, and saying something for Hekdesh is the equivalent of handing something of like a kinyan Mashiach be'etzim by a hedjit. The rabbi said, what does it mean that the domain of Hekdesh is with money? So Gizber Shinasan Mos B'Behema. Well, if you have the temple treasury who gave money to purchase an animal, so even though there was no kinyan Mashiach, it was money. Afilu Behema B'Sofa Olam, even if the animal is at the other end of the world, Kana belongs to the treasury, because Rishus Agavoa B'Kesef, when it comes to the Hekdesh, money is what makes the kinyan, and as once they pay money, it belongs to the treasury, no matter where the animal is. Uvehedjit, but when it comes to a hedjit, just a regular person, lo kon achim yimshoch, you'd have to have a kinyan meshicha. Okay, right? You'd have to pull it. When it comes to metalton, what does it mean that verbalizing something for Hekdesh is like handing it over to your friend? Ha'omer shor ze ola. If a person simply says that this ox is going to be a korban ola, buys the Hekdesh, or this house is Hekdesh, afilu b'sof ha'olam kana, even if it's at another part of the world, just saying it is enough. Behedjit lokana achim shoch v'yachzik. However, when it comes to non-hekdesh, well then the kinyan would have to be a kinyan meshicha, or it'd have to be you make a chazaka on the property. But by hekdesh, you could simply say, "I'm being makdish this animal," or "I'm being makdish my house." Okay. Mishacho b'mana v'loyispik livdoso at she'omad b'mosayim. No sin mosayim. What does that mean? I don't know. Let's say Shimon was makdish his bicycle to the temple treasury, and he didn't redeem it, and now the temple treasury is selling it, and they're selling it to Reuven. Okay, so mashcho b'mano. So if Reuven pulled the bike, and at that time the bike was worth $100, v'lohispik livdoso, but he didn't pay for it. He made a kinyan meshicha, but this is hekdesh. Hekdesh is not acquired by meshicha; it's acquired with kesef. And by the time Reuven came to pay for the bicycle, the bicycle was now worth 200. No sin masayim. Well, he's got to pay 200. My time outcome v'nosan hakesef v'kamlo, because by hekdesh it says that it's yours when you pay for it, not a kinyan meshicha. The kesef makes the kinyan. Moshcho b'masayim. If when he did a meshicha on the bicycle, it was worth 200. V'lohispik livdoso. But by the time he came to pay for it, it went down. It went down 50. It's split in half, and it's $100 now. So on the one hand, you might say, well, if the kinyan by hekdesh is about the money, well, he hadn't made a kinyan yet. He hadn't paid for it yet, and now it's $100. Before it was $200. He wins, right? No, he doesn't. No sin masayim. He pays 200, which was the amount that it was worth at the time that he pulled the bike, that he did a meshicha. My time outcome he has to pay 200, not 100, if a kinyan Mashiach doesn't work by hektish. Lo yekoyach hedjit chomer me hektish, because we can't have a situation where, a non, I don't think the word is sacred, but a non-sanctified probably. We can't have a situation where a non-sanctified thing is more stringent than hektish, right? Meaning if this bicycle didn't belong to hektish, it belonged to his friend, and he did a kinyan Mashiach when it was worth $200, and then the price plummeted, and now he has to pay his friend. Well, when he did the Mashiach, it was worth 200. That's what he has to pay for. He did a kinyan. So if when it comes to non-sanctified things, we would be stringent and say 200, then certainly by hektish we should be stringent and say 200. If Reuven purchased the bicycle from hektish for $200, but he didn't actually take it yet, at the time that he took it, it was worth 100. No sin masayim? Well, no, he sticks to the 200. My time, I'll come for nosan akesef v'kamlo, because it's the money that makes the kinyan, not the Mashiach when it comes to hektish. Pido b'mano, if he paid for the bicycle at 100, but then by the time he did a Mashiach, it was 200. Mashapada padui, well, whatever he paid, he paid. He already paid 100, he already paid 100. That's it. Even though at the time of the Mashiach it was 200. The ain't no sin money pays only 100. Amai, but how come achanami? Shouldn't we say here as well that a hedjit, non-sanctified stuff shouldn't be more stringent than hektish? And if we're saying that by non-sanctified stuff, it only belongs to him when he makes the kinyan Mashiach, so then that means that when he paid $100 for it, it wasn't actually his yet, and he should have to pay 200 now, because at the time of the Mashiach it was 200. To which the Gemara says, no, that's not true. Even by a hedjit, if Reuven had already paid Shimon for his bicycle, but he didn't yet do a kinyan Mashiach, that would be really bad energy for Shimon to say, oh no, you didn't do a Mashiach yet, now you have to pay an additional $100. No, once Reuven paid for it, he paid for it, even though technically speaking, yeah, there needs to be a kinyan Mashiach, but it would be really bad karma for Shimon to say, oh no, now you have to pay me 200 after you already paid him 100. So here also, if he paid the temple treasury $100 for the bicycle, but didn't do a Mashiach yet, so we're not going to make him pay $200 because since at the time that he paid, which is anyways the kinyan when it comes to hektish, it was $100. Friends, that was Daf Chav Ches of Masechta Kiddushin. I hope you enjoyed. Peace out.